Okay, this devlog, I've already planned out what we're actually going to do. We're going to get rid of all the weird things in the world gen. Oh, look at this list. It's lovely. Actually, is this the correct number? Okay, the number's wrong. And look at this grip strengthener I've just bought. I'm going to have such great forearms by the time this video is done. Oh. Gameplay. Right, it's going to be endless gameplays before long. And on that note, let's do some programming. Like what I'd like, for instance, is this to take over this whole thing. Okay, I think I definitely broke it there. Oh, I know what it is. I'm continuing, but I've forgotten to increase the pointer. Duh, that's actually really obvious. Right, I think I might have sorted the regions thing out. So the regions are now what I would call concave, meaning that they're not separated by a piece of water. You can get to any part of the region by going through any other part of the region. So something like this is now specific to just this piece of land. So previously it often used to do things like this. See how that bit of land also triggered that bit? So for example, something like going into this bit of land and then triggering this island makes no sense. What I essentially have to do is take a point in the region, flood fill out to find its greatest extent, and then compare that with the list which contains all the coordinates of the region. So flood fill coordinate, if I compare them and they don't match in size, then that tells me that there's a sort of break in where the region actually is. And that's what this sort of stuff is doing. And then from there, I start to break it down. So I remove all those points from the one list, and then the remaining runs I do the flood fill again. And say you have 3 different points, it would be able to separate those off. As much as it is slower having to do all these flood fills, like they're small flood fills and it's not the end of the world. So I think I'm going to look into actually merging regions now, because of course some of them are tiny. So a region like that is tiny and should be merged into the bigger region. So firstly, if a region is too small, it should be merged. And secondly, if it's isolated in something like this, where it's only got one region as a neighbour, then also remove that one. But whatever, I'll figure it out. So we're sort of getting somewhere with the region absorption thing. The main problem I have with it is things like this. So what's essentially gone on here is you've got 2 regions. So the algorithm to say, is it an isolated region, doesn't work because it's 2 separate regions. Like as far as this is concerned, it's got 2 neighbour regions. So the fact that it's too small doesn't matter, which is really annoying, because what I'd love is for this whole section to just become that one region. So I think I'm going to have to start to think about getting the major regions to expand a little bit. Like maybe you'd build a tree structure from this and then do a bit of like tree shaking to see, yeah, actually that would work. And something like this as well. I'll have to have a think about it. And this is my thinking face. So there we were, only talking about gameplay, and now I'm already back to working on some weird technical thing. Basically, my random number generator doesn't work, because what it's actually doing is just calling rand. And the problem with rand is that you can seed it, but this is on a separate thread, and I can't guarantee that nothing else is going to call rand in the time it takes for me to generate the entire map. So that's a problem. So essentially what I need to do is have a random object like you'd have in Java or Python or something like that, and call that, and then make sure I seed it with whatever the number value is. Look, it's irking me. Can you believe this? Things like the seed, the moisture map are all the same. Now of course I've got my addition layer, which is partly what's going to change stuff. So if I just keep the seeds the same and just regenerate this, then I'll get something completely different. But a lot of the stuff will still be the same. So like if you observe some of this moisture map and then generate it again, you can see how it's identical. So that is a case of the pull and noise working fine. The problem is that in order to change the random stuff, I should be changing variation and nothing else. But of course, right now when I regenerate, like the position of the blobs and stuff, which does change how the map ultimately looks, is changing. So I need to get some random number improvements in place. Museni Twister random number engine. So if you thought I struggled to figure out what a parallelogram was last week, then there's absolutely no way in hell I'm gonna figure this shit out. Look at it! What is it? X is double greater than U and D. Yeah, do you know, I'm not actually sure that's true. I think it should be it should be omega D, actually. I think you got your wrong letter in place. And what even is this thing? That doesn't look like a math symbol at all. Ooh, is it gonna work? Come on, I can't keep rubbing my hands together like this forever. Come on, you can do it. You can do it, I believe. I believe. I believe! Oh, I didn't do it. 68. Nice, that's a number between those two values. Oh, maybe we're on something here. And I guess, because I've seeded it, every time I call it I should get the same value. Yay! It lives! I guess my only concern is it might behave differently depending on the platform. But I'm sure that the standard would have figured that stuff out. Like, surely not. Surely not. Now, in theory, if I generate again, with a seed of 0, it'll look identical. It sort of did, didn't it? Position of the blob isn't changing. My seeds are all over the place. 64. Yay! Right, okay. So it seems like each time I hit generate, it's not actually seeding it properly. Or are we looking at different random number generators? Maybe we are. Maybe this is what I get for just banging it in as a static variable when you're not really supposed to do that. Right, this shouldn't be 64. Yeah! Okay, lovely. Well, that might be it then. Oh. What was that? Clearly I need to work on my grip strength a bit more. I seem to have a problem. The game's broken. There's nothing here at all. So the regression actually seems to have happened when I switched to this non-deterministic thing. So what's so bizarre about this is it doesn't actually touch any of the code that would actually affect it. And my world gen tool works fine. It definitely does generate a world. Should I just remove it line by line? But it wouldn't be this, would it? There's just no way it would. Ah! What? I don't know how I feel about this. So it was this. Do you know, actually I know what the problem is. The problem is that here I get the index and then reference a value from the chords list. Here I'm just returning the index itself. I'm a lot more concerned about the fact that the test just didn't find that. So in case you were wondering why there are no rivers anymore, that happens to be because, do you remember that time I went through and did a bunch of stability fixes? Well, if we actually look at this, stability improvements, I'm checking to see if this goes out bounds of the list. If rand index is less than or equal to size, then return invalid. If you don't know anything about programming, that's like the exact wrong thing to do. There we go, just like that, we have rivers again. Oh! Okay, who wants to see something cool? So I'm trying to improve the debug tools I have at my disposal in order to fix a lot of the issues that are currently there with the world gen. So the main tool I've added is this, which is this voxel information picker tool. So essentially it just depends on where the mouse is, it'll tell you information about stuff. So altitude, water group, land, region group, that sort of thing. The reason I needed this essentially is I'm looking at a map like this. This bit here is wrong, that should have been merged, and it isn't. So I need to be able to look at it and say, okay, what region is that? Okay, bang, it's region 61. And this is region 21. So from there, immediately I can start to debug things. And the reason for the sort of pressing need to fix the random generator is that if I get a different map each time, then how am I meant to debug what the algorithm is doing? So as you can see from the fact that it's not random anymore, and in my secondary file, I'm actually defining what seeds to use. So it's going to be exactly the same map each time. Let's have a look. Bah! Exactly the same. And if I look in my tools, then you can see it's exactly the same stuff, region 61. So with these values and this algorithm, it always gives me the exact same map. So I'm kind of doing it a little bit caveman here by just defining some stuff and then sticking a breakpoint there. But again, 61 is the problem region, so when we actually find it in the list, we can then check to see the stuff. So this is in merge small regions, it tries to merge it. So then the two regions it attempts to merge are this one, which is 61 in UTF-8 form, nice one, debugger, and this one, which is also 61 in UTF-8. So the problem was caused by this merge region data stuff, attempting to merge a region into itself. So I just need a bit of logic there to say that if the two are the same, then don't do that. And that's essentially bug solved. So again, it just goes to show how hard it would have been to debug some of this before. There we go. Haha, it's beautiful. The system works. So to test out all of this new biome stuff I've been working on, let's add a new desert biome. Ah, that doesn't look too bad actually. See, I'm already thinking of what I could have here. So probably you don't want places, but you could have a bit more greenery around the rivers. It makes sense that things like skeletons would spawn in the desert. The main thing obviously I wanted to test was the altitude changes thing. It doesn't really look like it's working, does it? I suppose they've got to be in order. They're not. Ah. Okay, there we go. And that's why I would have placed sand, because the ocean places sand. Oh, moron. Oh, that actually really hurt. Yeah, look at that. Hang on, that's a really good example. Before, the map was all quite similar. But now, so you see down here, you can see the outline of a river. Over here, you see some bumps. What could that be? Well, that's definitely the desert. And if you played the game enough, you would know how to recognise these biomes just by their looks. So I can guess with a high amount of confidence that there's a desert here. Hey, see, look, you can see the ups and downs, and it actually looks really cool. I like that a lot. But there's too many of them. It's so good to be able to put new content into the game. I mean, considering it's a game about finding things, it's been like a year since I put the cherry blossom biome in. So the game really does need this sort of stuff. Yeah, there we go, that looks better. So you can definitely see the sand dunes in that one. So that's all I got done for this week. So my plan for next week is just keep working on content and gameplay, which I'm really enjoying doing at the moment. So I hope to see you there. Impressed?